one of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
I
feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie eight, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Happy Friday. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. Great to be back with you here as we get ready for a very exciting weekend here on SportsGrid. Lots of content surrounding the Olympic Games. They are underway. Soccer, basketball, breakdancing, badminton, you name it, we'll cover it for you this weekend. So make sure you catch all of our shows, including Scott Farrell, coming up at 3 o'clock Eastern today with the very latest in soccer and basketball as well. Carlan Gay, who covers the Olympics for the Sporting News, is going to join us in just a few minutes. He'll tell us who we can expect to win and cover some spreads this weekend on the men's and women's side at the Olympics in basketball as well. Simon Applebaum is with us from Legal Sports Report. Simon Applebaum for the podcast tomorrow will be televised, and he will tell us all about the latest in TV ratings. What I meant to say was our guest contributor from Legal Sports Report is Jim Gazzale, and he will join us with the very latest in the sports betting business as well. So that and a whole lot more, including news on the Major League Baseball trade deadline. We broke a little news here yesterday. I'll tell you all about that coming up in just a minute. But I feel like this story with the Olympics is the one that takes the cake, and that means it starts off the show today, which is Bev Priestman. You may not have known her name before a couple of days ago, but you certainly know now. What a fall from grace. Removed, out as the coach of Canadians' Olympic team by the Canadian Olympic Committee. The decision came after soccer decided to suspend Priestman for the remainder of the tournament. What did she do? Well, apparently she was aware, at the very least, allegedly, that drones were flown over practice sessions for the opponent that Canada was going to face at the Olympic Games. You talk about insane. This is true. Now, Priestman was adamant at practice, saying that she had no knowledge whatsoever. Let me make this clear. She said she had no knowledge whatsoever of the drone use. So it doesn't add up that Canada would suspend her and then remove her. So I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to end up being on Netflix or ESPN's 30 for 30 at some point. But that's what we know right now. She's out. Drones were flown. Somebody was trying to acquire information about New Zealand. Needless to say, no one is rooting for Canada in the Olympics. That's for sure. Except maybe people in Canada. All right. Major League Baseball yesterday, a no-hitter. Dylan Cease ended up throwing it. 114 pitches. Of course, he came over from the White Sox in the offseason to the Padres, nearly threw a no-hitter. a couple of years ago, but a really strong performance from a team that needed it. The Padres are in the thick of the National League wild card race. Probably not the division winner. The Dodgers, I think, are probably going to end up doing that. Needless to say, it was a lot of pitches for Cease, and you generally don't see this happen that often in baseball, but Cease said that he was happy that he was able to go the distance and complete the no-no.
Did you do some lobbying after that inning? Because it looked like the congratulatory handshake, a nice job. What went on after that conversation?
Yeah, he said nice job, and I looked up and it was like 94 pitches, and I just said I feel great, and if we get through the next one in like 105, then I've thrown 113 this year, and so he thankfully they let me talk him into it, and then here we are.
Good stuff from Dylan Cease yesterday post-game. Also good stuff from the U.S. women's soccer team. They pull off a 3-0 victory over Zambia. First time you've ever heard Zambia twice on a TV show. It's me doing it 2 days in a row. 3-0. Mallory Swanson had 2 goals. Of course, her husband is Dansby Swanson. Meanwhile, for those of you who are looking to watch Major League Baseball on Comcast, if that's your provider, I know it's been annoying. Over the last couple of months, there's been this blackout or this issue where the carriage had not been able to carry the games because of arguing about the compensation. According to The Athletic, it looks like this is coming to an end as Diamond Sports is going to allow these to broadcast once again. There is so much uncertainty in the future with this Diamond Sports Group, just generally speaking. They've already relinquished a few teams' control over broadcasting their games. There's some talk that they could be bankrupt. There's other talk that they may be purchased by Amazon. Needless to say, Major League Baseball is watching this very closely. And again, they have taken over some of the broadcasts. But for the time being, if you're a Comcast user and you're looking to watch your team and you haven't been able to, it looks like you'll be able to watch them again soon. All right, Olympic ceremonies getting underway in Paris. Snoop Dogg, Simone Biles, LeBron James, you got it all. Coco Gauff carrying USA flags. Everybody's involved. A lot of fun to watch. LeBron James getting ready for their first matchup coming up this weekend. The Argentina Football Association, known as the AFA, have made a formal complaint to FIFA and their disciplinary committee following the incidents during their Wednesday's loss to Morocco. A pitch invasion by fans of Morocco happened after Argentina's Christian Medina scored deep into stoppage time. There were bottles and cups and even firecrackers thrown at players during their goal celebration. Not sure what's going to be accomplished by this protest, but at the very least, they wanted to make the protest. Meanwhile, tennis has seen a lot of the players drop out of the Olympic Games for injury. We may have another one. Rafael Nadal, a thigh injury, has his status coming up in doubt. His coach, Carlos Moya, says he still has some discomfort. His first match is Saturday. It's a doubles event with Carlos Alcaraz, who was one of the favorites to take the gold. We'll see if Rafael Nadal participates in Paris. Now, as I mentioned, it's a fun time of the year for Major League Baseball fans, especially for those of you who have teams that are in it, because you're getting players to hopefully get you a little bit further. Indeed, that happened for 2 teams yesterday. The Seattle Mariners overnight acquired Randy Arozarena from the Tampa Bay Rays. Arozarena, of course, had a tremendous run with Tampa Bay, helping them to a World Series as well in 2020. As I reported yesterday, the Arizona Diamondbacks have acquired A.J. Puck, left-handed relief pitcher. In return, the Marlins get a very hot-hitting young prospect named Delos Santos, who has 28 home runs for the Diamondbacks this season and played in the Futures game. The Los Angeles Dodgers saw Clayton Kershaw back on the mound for the first time this year. They beat the Giants in his return. Kershaw said, to be able to get back out there at Dodger Stadium is something I've thought about a lot, and it meant a lot. I'm sure it did. Meanwhile, The Athletic also reported yesterday that Christian Yelich, with yet another back issue in his season, has decided to rest and rehab rather than undergo surgery. I discussed this on the show yesterday. It does seem to me that Yelich is going to try to come back for a postseason run, but probably going to be out for an extended period of time and could have surgery after the season. Over in the National Football League, training camp continues, and folks, the Hall of Fame game is coming up next Sunday. Kind of crazy. Russell Wilson may not be participating anytime soon in the preseason or maybe even on the field. Who knows? He has some calf tightness. And on Thursday, he was off the field. And guess who was on the field at quarterback? Justin Fields, the quarterback that they acquired in the offseason. He took all the first-team reps. The team is saying it's not a serious issue for Wilson, but with the way the teams treat that first NFL preseason game, we may not see Russell Wilson play in a Steelers uniform until the middle of August. Meanwhile, Michael Badgley, the kicker of the Detroit Lions, suffered a hamstring issue while warming up, diagnosed with a torn hamstring, and not going to play this season. The Lions, high-scoring Lions, need a kicker. They score a lot of points, and some extra points, too. Michael Badgley's not going to be their kicker this season. Jamar Chase looking for a new contract. Zach Taylor said that him missing practice is an agreed-upon plan with him and Chase. He's looking for a new deal. Tua Tagovailoa looking for a new deal. Jordan Love looking for a new deal. All of these players are at their camp saying the right things, some of them practicing more than others. And meanwhile, longtime executive and player agent Mike Ornstein passed away, served as the NFL's vice president of marketing, and also represented former Heisman Trophy Award winner, I think I could say that now, by the way, Reggie Bush in 2006. 2010, he was sentenced to 8 months in prison for conspiring to scalp Super Bowl tickets. While serving his term, Ornstein sent emails to Saints PR promising $5,000 to Saints players who delivered hard hits to former Packers Aaron Rodgers and Panthers quarterback Cam Newton. I'm sure you guys remember that with the Saints bounty as well. Coming up next, breaking down the hoops at the Olympics, is Carlan Gay.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Media have already said that they are going to be horrible. The books have them, as we'll see in a moment, at a win total of 5.5. Sean Payton, though, Scotty, he does not listen to preseason prognosticators.
That's your future, and it's on you. Like, they selected him, they wanted him, that's what they got, and now he has to build that from scratch.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind like we have out of the Northwest was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Always great to have Carlan Gay back with us here on the show. He was with us yesterday, back today. We figured today here on the show, we're just going to go through as much basketball as we possibly can. Because let's be honest, I think it is the most popular sport going at the Olympics. Now, again, some enthusiasts who are watching out there, Carlan, they're like, wait a second, I'm a breakdancing person here. Don't tell me about basketball here. But I genuinely think because of the names that are participating at the Olympics every 4 years, that tends to get the most focus. And, Team USA soccer team, the men, they're just not that good. So I think that's a fair assessment. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, totally fair. There's room for growth, definitely, we'll say, on the Team USA men's soccer side. You're not really hoping for that growth on the basketball side. You're hoping that they just come home with the medal and take care of business.
Yeah, we do. All right, so we broke down one game yesterday, but not everybody watches this show every day. So let's take a closer look again. Same line as thanks. Same line as yesterday. Team USA against Serbia. The East Coast live time, if I'm not mistaken, is Sunday at 11:15 a.m. And I guess that's the best they could do with this opening round with so many games being played. Team USA, 12.5-point favorites. It's one of the higher totals, by the way, on the board for any basketball game being played at the Olympics. I see 180.5, which tells us it's going to be closer to an NBA game than some of these others, which the totals are just super low, like college games. So, Carlan, let's break it down. Yesterday, you said you had some confidence in Team USA. Let's revisit that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think they'll cover the spread. I don't have any doubts about that. It's a statement game for Team USA, right? And that's weird saying that when they're expected to medal and everybody's like, hey, one game at a time. But this is a statement game in terms of sending a message to the other 11 teams in the pool, like, hey, we are the team to beat, and we are running on all cylinders. Yes, we had a couple of close calls against South Sudan. We had a close call against Germany, but ultimately, now the games count. Now the games matter. The best of the best is going to show up and get it done. And I think you're going to see a different rotation out of Steve Kerr. I think he was trying things in the pre-tournament games and trying to figure out who's going to work best with who in terms of rotations. But that spread is really going to get covered after the first real wave. Where Team USA is going to pull away from teams is when the bench gets in. Once you get into the bench on these deeper teams, they're just not as deep as the Americans. Like, that's where they're going to lose games, and that's where they're going to pull away. So I do expect them to get out there, send a message, and different in NBA games where you can take your foot off the gas pedal. In FIBA competition, points matter, right? Like, the point differential matters. So you want to knock teams out. You want to just dominate and score as much as you can, and even take the shot, even if you're up 20 with 5 seconds left on the clock. You're going to shoot that ball because you just want as many points as you possibly can have. So I do expect them to go out there, cover the spread, and it is, to your point, going to look closer to an NBA total. So go over on the total as well. Yeah. Real quick, am I assessing this right? And you tell me, maybe I'm off because I'm just thinking it through. That if you were going to bet this, would you be more interested, Carlan? And I don't know, you'd have to tell me how international basketball works. But the bench would be in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, mostly. So would you look for a Team USA second quarter bet if that's the case against a team like Serbia? Yeah, I would. And because the teams like, Serbia is one of the better teams that are going to be at the Olympic Games. They just don't have the depth. Once you get beyond the first five guys and forbid they get into any sort of foul trouble or anything like that, that's where you have to go deep into your roster. And that's where Team USA is going to be bringing on NBA All-Stars. And Serbia is going to be bringing on pretty good players that play, overseas at a pro level, which is not a bad thing. But they're not NBA All-Stars. They're not Jason Tatum. They're not Anthony Edwards. They're not guys like that. So there is a level and a difference where you can definitely look at that second quarter and say that Team USA, even if they start slow in the first, the second quarter, they should come out and dominate. Very, very good analysis there. Okay, so the line movement I've seen in all the games, this is the one that I've seen a little movement here where Australia takes on Spain very early in the morning, overnight, 5 a.m., I believe Australia, if I'm not mistaken, was 5.5 or 6 point favorites, but now on FanDuel, they're 4.5. So something is coming in on Spain, maybe that I don't, you know more than me that I don't understand. The total is 166.5. Admittedly, I know very little, Carlan, about these two teams, but I do look at the lines and I'm seeing people backing Spain. What's the reason for that? Listen, I might have moved the line myself personally. I really and truly believe that Australia is going to be one of those teams that failed to live up to the expectations here at the Olympic Games. Traditionally, right, Australia is a very tough team, very tough-minded. They have Patty Mills, Joe Ingles.
and then a bunch of other pro players, and Matthew Dellavedova, who was once in the NBA and starred in an NBA Finals guarding Steph Curry. Like, they have the ingredients for a team that should make a run in the Olympic Games, but I think this is the time where they're going to hit the reset button and fail to get to the knockout stage. So I would go Spain here. Spain is coming in off of the last chance tournament bid where they were able to get past the Bahamas to finally punch their ticket to the Olympic Games. They've already played meaningful basketball games, right? Like, some teams were playing pre-tournament games. Spain was going through a pre-tournament where they had to win the tournament just to make the Olympic Games. So they've already gone through the ringer a little bit and had that pressure. So this is nothing new to them. I'm backing Spain all the way, especially for giving me points. That's a little bit outrageous to me, and I would go big on this one. Spain should win this game outright, no question about it.
Money line bet there, maybe on Spain. All right, final game. Let's review. You've made your point on Canada. Yesterday, Carlan said that it'll probably hang around, but not good enough to win the gold, maybe even not the silver. They're 7.5-point favorites over Greece. I know one player on Greece. That's all I know. Canada 7.5-point favorites Saturday.
Yeah, well, Greece does have a tough team in terms of the pro players, and they're in the same position that Spain was in, right? Like, they had to go through a last chance tournament to get to the Olympic Games, and they did just that, performing at home. But they're now going up against a team in Canada that has something to prove. Canada has not been at the Olympic Games since 2000 in Sydney. They now have an NBA talented roster full of, NBA vets. They went out in the World Cup last year, walked away with the bronze medal. It's time to show and prove on the world stage. It's going to be a closer game, so I do think that Greece should cover that spread, but Canada's going to pull it out in the end.
All right, great stuff, Carlan. We'll see what happens with the results. You and I, I'm sure we'll talk next week. Thanks for coming on NewsWire.
Have a great weekend.
All right, Carlan Gay, Sporting News. Great stuff. All right, so second quarter. Keep an eye on that for USA-Serbia. All right, SportsGrid Sound Off up next. We'll have it for you.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. They can fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of a lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Media have already said that they are going to be horrible. The books have them, as we'll see in a moment, at a win total of 5.5. Sean Payton, though, Scotty, he does not listen to preseason prognosticators.
That's your future, and it's on you. Like, they selected him, they wanted him, that's what they got, and now he has to build that from scratch.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Lots of news and notes in the NFL. And, we got training camp underway. And, folks, a lot of our content after these Olympic Games are over is going to be toward football. Believe me, we're almost there. Right after that trade deadline, I think, on Tuesday. So we'll have it covered for you. We'll also talk a little baseball here on the Sound Off as well. So let's get started. Time now for the Sports Grid Sound Off. Could be the end of the line for Dak Prescott in Dallas. Wait, not this year, though. Dak's the quarterback. Don't get excited. Don't get crazy. But let's be honest. Contract's coming up for Dak. No new deal. Getting older. Is this the swan song, so to speak, for Dak Prescott? Still chasing that NFC championship. Still chasing that Super Bowl. I mean, is there any team more equipped financially with everything going on than the Cowboys? How is it the Cowboys have not gotten to this point as of yet? Every year they're the favorites, but every year they fall short. We'll see if that ends up happening this year, but if it's the last go-around for Dak, he says he wants to make the most of it.
It's a two-way street that they have once, I have once. I think I've deserved that, understanding that this is a business, and obviously I want to be here. Talking about growing up, this is where I've become a man. So, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and you know when I'm gonna say I want to be here, but you know when you look up, all the great quarterbacks I watched played for other teams. So my point in saying that is that's not something to fear. That may be a reality for me one day, may not be my decision. So that's the freedom that I have is be where your feet are, make the most of it, be confident in yourself, make your team better. I love my teammates. I love that locker room. I love everything about being out here in Oxnard and being a Dallas Cowboy. So that's what allows me to be free and focused and understand that and time comes, who knows what comes. As I said, I've been through a lot of adversity personally, that it's about, being thankful for where you are, hugging and loving on your loved ones and taking it one day at a time and handling the rest when it approaches.
Very well said, I think, by Dak. I mean, you just think about sports the last 20 years. I always, use LeBron James as the barometer for that. Like, once that guy left Cleveland as arguably the best player in the sport or the history of the sport, you just couldn't count on your favorite players staying at home, I think, ever again. I mean, to think, as we were watching, Peyton Manning leaving Indianapolis to go play for Denver. Like, these things are, Brady playing for Tampa Bay. Like, the day and age of you having that jersey and holding it forever because the player stays in your team, they're done. All right, meanwhile, Cy Young Award is going to come down to the stretch. What a huge performance it was yesterday for Dylan Cease. Could he overtake Chris Sale? Could he overtake Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Our Kevin Walsh weighs in on whether or not Dylan Cease has a shot at this Cy Young.
All right, we're checking in because baseball right now has seen some incredible starting pitching this week. And we know that National League Cy Young market is dominated by three names: Paul Skeens, Zach Wheeler, and Chris Sale. Well, that trio has come out of the All-Star break firing. Over their starts, all now with one since the All-Star break has began, 22 and 2/3 innings combined, 4 total earned runs. Absolute dominance. But if somebody is going to enter the race alongside those three, may I present you Dylan Cease, a no-hitter against the Washington Nationals. His last 3 starts, he's given up 2 hits combined. Cease now has the 4th best odds to win NL Cy Young, and with a lot of season left, it looks like he's going to try and enter his name in that race. Craig, it's back to you.
Great analysis there from Kevin. Maybe that no-hitter propels him into the top 3. We'll see as we get closer. All right, now the Braves last night got walked off by the Mets. What a blunder in right field. Ball hit to right. Just gets by the outfielder. No fun at all for Brian Snitker, who's lost so many players due to injury. And he has no hair, but I feel like in this press conference, he let his hair down yesterday.
I don't know what that was, quite honestly. You're going to have to ask them. I didn't have anything on, and we're just trying to. I feel we normally don't bunt in that situation, but I was trying to score a run, and we had 2 pretty good hitters coming up, I thought, and that's unacceptable.
Not the best look for the Braves yesterday in their walk-off against the Mets. Coming up next, is it possible that we have a state legalizing sports betting before the end of the year that we haven't talked about that much? Jim Gazzale tells us next.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Media have already said that they are going to be horrible. The books have them, as we'll see in a moment, at a win total of 5.5. Sean Payton, though, Scotty, he does not listen to preseason prognosticators.
And that's your future, and it's on you. Like, they selected him. They wanted him. That's what they got. And now he has to build that from scratch.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Going to be a very busy weekend for Jim Gazzale. I know we're not going to talk a ton of horse racing here on the show. Usually we do with Jim. He always brings something new to the table. I'm sure he's got his sports betting apps open. I'm sure that there's some horse that nobody knows about, that Jim knows about, that he's got a exacta or trifecta box in. I don't know. Maybe he'll one of these days give us one of these and one of these Santa Anita races or something like that. What's going on, Jim? Great to have you back here on NewsWire.
Not much, Craig. I'm always happy to talk about horses, but not a lot of news in the racing industry since we last spoke. And, I feel like I've been inundating you with horse topics. So we'll skip that this week.
All right. 1 week off from horse racing. All right. So, hey, look, this is something that's brand new for us here on the show. I know you guys wrote about it over at Legal Sports Report. Nebraska, boy, we don't cover them a ton here on the show. And all of a sudden, there's legislature going on. I mean, Jim, I guess, is it possible that in Q4 ahead of football season or during football season that state legalizes sports betting? Because as I look at this landscape right now, I don't see a single state showing any positivity to get something done before the end of the year. Are they it?
Yeah, perhaps, Craig. And they do have retail sports betting in Nebraska. There are 3 or 4 brick and mortar casinos that do take bets. So the market is relatively small in the grand scheme of things. But what they're discussing now is the potential of bringing sports betting online in Nebraska. And the reason for that is because the governor there has stated in recent weeks and months that the state is in a property tax crisis and they need to raise revenue to reduce that property tax burden on its residents. So a special legislative session kicked off yesterday. they introduced a online sports betting bill, which would essentially just be a small amendment to the current sports betting bill that, like I mentioned, has legalized retail sports betting. So this would bring that market online in Nebraska potentially, and it would create, if passed, a constitutional amendment. So then it would go before the voters coming up in November. So they introduced that bill yesterday. From what I'm gathering, it sounds like some committee hearings will begin after the weekend, and then we'll get a better sense if this is going to be discussed at any length, or if we'll perhaps have to wait until the beginning of the new year, in which the governor recently signaled last week that he would be putting forth a priority bill to legalize online sports betting in Nebraska. Now, of course, industry groups want this to be kind of ironed out and put in front of voters in November, so they don't have to wait any longer to raise additional revenues to help with that property tax crunch that the state is currently in. If that does not happen over the next couple of days, then we'll likely see legislation to legalize online sports betting in Nebraska come at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see. I know, as you said, they're retail books. You just don't hear a ton about their revenue or finances. Going online is clearly the thing to do. All right, let's get to now some places we do have some revenue sharings in and numbers. We've got Louisiana, the latest sports book there. Jim, you sent a social media post about this yesterday as well. What's the latest there?
Yeah, kind of more of the same, like we've been talking about, Craig, over the last couple of months with Louisiana and these parlay bettors. So fiscal year figures, complete fiscal year figures came in recent days for Louisiana. Obviously, that fiscal year running July through June. And the market did show pretty solid growth in overall handle. About $3 billion was bet over the last fiscal year, and that was up 37%. So a sizable increase over the prior fiscal year. Revenue was up as well, 73%, $358.2 million in this latest fiscal year that just ended in June, up from $206.8 million from the prior fiscal year in revenue. And Craig, like we've talked about many, many times in recent weeks and months, the parlays accounted for 70% of that revenue total for the sports books. So as we've seen, a lot of these sports books talk about enhancing their parlay product, better pricing, better app technology, better features, because obviously it is a huge driver of handle. And, of course, as you string together multiple legs of parlays, the likelihood of you winning goes down and down and down, and the likelihood of the revenue coming to the sports books goes up and up and up. And I think what we've seen over the last couple of months and through that latest fiscal year in Louisiana is that those sports books really do bank on those parlay profits, if you will. 70% of overall revenue in the latest fiscal year in Louisiana coming from those combo bets, Craig.
Wow, parlay bets, 70%. That's a huge number. All right, let's get to Pennsylvania. What do we got for the latest on everything in terms of revenue there?
Yeah, another fiscal year coming to an end in Pennsylvania, and their revenue dipped just slightly, just about 1%, $486.6 million in winnings for Pennsylvania sportsbooks, which was down from $492 million during the prior fiscal year. Handle, on the other hand, was up about $1 billion, $8.17 billion bet during this latest fiscal year, and that was up from $7.22 billion from the fiscal year prior. FanDuel saw its revenue drop by 2% in that latest fiscal year. DraftKings, they saw their revenue jump by about 25% in this latest fiscal year. And what really stuck out to me was Penn Entertainment and the ESPN Bet app, Craig. And I know we've talked a lot about ESPN Bet over the last several months when they made that transition from the Barstool Sportsbook last November, right in the middle of football season. And if you recall, prior to that, they announced that that change was coming in August, I believe it was, last year. And then the Barstool Sportsbook brand, they stopped offering promos, and they just kind of let the players that were on there just kind of sit dormant for a little while, and not a lot of marketing activity. So once ESPN Bet took over in November, there was that rush of promotional play and whatnot. So over the last fiscal year, which again was, July of 23 through June of 24, which covered, about half of that. Barstool covered half of it. ESPN Bet covered the other half. But for Penn, the parent company, their revenue was down 75% in this last fiscal year in Pennsylvania. They made about $4.7 million in sports betting revenue in Pennsylvania, which was down from $19.2 million the year before, which, that full fiscal year, they were operating solely as the Barstool Sportsbook. So likely that transition likely had a good deal to do with that revenue decline. Obviously, like I said off the top, the overall market revenue was down slightly. They were a big piece of that. FanDuel a little less, but DraftKings was the big winner, 25% revenue increase in Pennsylvania over the last fiscal year.
Yeah, and again, the revenue in some of these places, too, about to get a huge jump. Don't come on this show, Jim, in November telling me every state is up. I know they're going to be up. It's football season. I'm just kidding. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Greg. You too.
All right, Simon Applebaum up next. Don't go away.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Media have already said that they are going to be horrible. The books have them, as we'll see in a moment, at a win total of 5.5. Sean Payton, though, Scotty, he does not listen to preseason prognosticators.
That's your future, and it's on you. Like, they selected him. They wanted him. That's what they got. And now he has to build that from scratch.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Time now to check in with our resident expert on sports and media. We mix in some sports betting as well. Simon Applebaum of the podcast tomorrow will be televised. Simon has all eyes on the Olympic Games, I'm sure. I don't know how you're going to do it, Simon, at 4 in the morning, but you'll let us know next week. Not a lot of sleep for you, I'm guessing. But thank you again for coming on the show, and it's time for us to dive into what the Olympic coverage has looked like thus far, not a lot, and what it's going to look like, which is going to be a lot.
Craig, it's great to be with you. One quick announcement. As of this week, we are no longer live on Blog Talk Radio. We are on a brand new site, which is TalkShoe. That's S-H-O-U, like in the footwear. We started yesterday, and in fact, one of our guests live from the Olympics in Paris was Eli Velasquez, the head of Telemundo Deportes, Telemundo Sports. We thank him for coming on the show yesterday while his network is in day now 3 of coverage. And I have to say, I've already seen some of the coverage on Telemundo and on USA Network in English. You're right about the soccer team. A 3-0 bomb in the second half against France on Wednesday. The women's soccer team, same result, 3-0 against Zambia. So it looks like they are off to the races. We'll see what happens. And I think women's team handball is going to be a surprise sport as far as the Olympics are concerned. If I'm a women's sports entrepreneur and I want to do a new professional league, check out this sport. It has elements of basketball, soccer, and lacrosse. It's fast-paced. The graphics are good. So far, I think Molly Solomon, the executive producer of NBC Universal's coverage, is off to the races. Very good. And we'll see what happens with the opening ceremonies that kicks off about an hour and a half from now.
Yeah, I think everyone will be watching that today. It's like always a watershed moment when they have that Olympic ceremony. Some people don't even watch the events. They just watch the ceremony. So NBC, Peacock, Telemundo, Roku, those are some of the possibilities for watching some of these streaming events. Simon, what other measures have the networks taken to get more eyes on the Olympics?
Quite a lot. I have to tell you, in the last week and a half, NBC has been showcasing sports, has been blitzing reporters with press releases. For the first time in a long while, they did a conference call on Wednesday with Molly Solomon, with Snoop Dogg and Mike Tirico, who you'll see featured on the opening ceremonies. Mike, of course, the primetime host. And I have to say, Snoop Dogg was very impressive among reporters. A lot of the reporters on the call, and I had the chance, by the way, to get the first question to Molly. Snoop Dogg was very impressive. I think he could be the key in terms of bringing the viewership up. Right now, I think the issue is going to be, A, can Peacock become the way that people watch the games, live, tape, interactive, and so forth? Is the new primetime in Paris format that NBC will launch at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, by the way, tonight, will that be a way to get an audience that has not been tuned to the Olympics? The Gen X, Gen Y, Gen G people, as well as people in the urban markets like New York, Philadelphia, Washington, Los Angeles, San Francisco, etc., as well as middle and rural America, which has always been big on Olympics. There's a lot of stops being pulled out. Rockefeller Center, starting today, is going to become an Olympics not just a rink, but a Olympics exhibit where you can watch coverage, you can have food, you can maybe see athletes before they go to Paris. There's movie theater presentation of some of the coverage. Roblox is doing special events. And as you mentioned, Roku has the NBC Olympic Zone, which starts today. So there is a full-scale blitz on by NBC Universal to try to get as many people as possible to watch these games and to reverse a slide in viewership over the last few Olympics.
All right. Well, I will definitely be interested in how they incorporate some of these online gaming, like Roblox, things like that. Kind of be happy, to be honest with you, Simon, that my son has moved off that, more MLB The Show, but that's a story for another day. All right. So this is kind of crazy here. So the NBA, in the end, got Turner to pay up exactly what they wanted, but they had to, Simon, go through another company to get it done. The other company is, let's just call it more of a streaming option, and Amazon, and I get it. But TNT is like, no, we're going to match this. We want to stay with you guys. The NBA says no. Warner's like, basically, no, we still want this. We have the right of first refusal on this. I mean, they've already made the announcement. NBA on NBC is putting out the theme song again here, Simon. So I feel like this has got to move forward after next year. What am I missing?
Well, what the NBA, Craig, is saying is we are moving forward. We're moving forward with NBC. We're moving forward with ESPN and ABC. And we're moving forward with Amazon and TNT. Yeah, you say you matched the deal with Amazon. We don't buy it, so we're moving forward. And what Warner Bros. Discovery, the parent of TNT and so forth, is saying is, no, we match. Our deal, we made the deal, the current deal that expires next season, and we did match. So you're wrong, NBA, and we were going to take you to court. So this could end up being a huge legal mess. At the same time, NBC is already promoting its NBA and WNBA deal. By the way, we should point out this 11-year deal that starts next in the 2025-26 season, runs to 2036, the fall of that year. It's both NBA and WNBA. So ESPN, ABC through Disney, they get both. NBC and Peacock, also USA Network gets both, and also Amazon Prime Video gets both. And in the case of NBC with the NBA, it's very interesting. First of all, look out for Sunday night basketball. That's right. After Sunday night football for the NBA playoffs in 2026, you will see a Sunday night basketball game with a pregame show, sort of like Football Night in America. Then on Monday, Peacock will do double headers. And then the most interesting part of the contract is on Tuesday night, NBC is going to do something very unique. They're going to do 2 games. However, the stations, the NBC stations in the East Coast and in the Central Time Zone are going to get 1 game at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the second game will only be on in Mountain Zone and Pacific Time Zone at 8 p.m. their time. Peacock will run both. And one more thing, Telemundo, going back to them, they are also part of this NBA deal. They're going to get 10 men's games. They're going to get the NBA All-Star game each season. You wonder if it works, whether they will also get part of the WNBA package as well.
All right. Well, Simon, I know they may have an NBA Red Zone. Maybe we'll focus more on that next week. Real quick, MLB Network with an announcement that seems to be 2-3 years in the making, Simon. I got to ask you, why did it take so long for MLB Network to decide if you can't see us, pay a little bit, pay a few bucks, and now you can? I don't even understand why it took this long.
Very simple, Craig. Desperation. Because fewer and fewer people are subscribing to cable and satellite, which MLB Network has most of its base on. They have to find a new way to get revenue. This is the way they want to do it. So in other words, if you are a smart TV set owner, you don't have cable, you don't have satellite, you get MLB Network Direct for $5.99 a month. You get out-of-market games as well as the studio shows. And for another $1, you also get audio calls under this sort of mega content MLB Plus, including other things as well.
We'll be right back.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Media have already said that they are going to be horrible. The books have them, as we'll see in a moment, at a win total of 5.5. Sean Payton, though, Scotty, he does not listen to preseason prognosticators.
That's your future, and it's on you. Like, they selected him. They wanted him. That's what they got. And now he has to build that from scratch.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If this wind, like we have out of the Northwest, was here all week, it would be insane watching these guys play in it. But it's going to be a southwest wind, which makes it a little easier as far as the direction of the wind. The guys will have it a little bit of a break on the back nine. But it is such a fun golf course, one that I really do think tests every single aspect of your game.
Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We are 6 minutes away from our show being over today and actually for the week too. So we got some fun topics to close you out with. We'll do some soccer, some Big Ten football, although it feels like the Pac, it is the Big Ten. And also, what are they doing here with Patrick Mahomes? I'll tell you more about that. It's time now for some last licks. All right, let's get it started with one of the best soccer players in the world, and her last name is Swanson. That is right. Her name is Mallory Swanson. And last night, or yesterday, I mean, what time is it even in Paris these days? I have no idea. I think they're several hours ahead. I think that's the deal there. So it's 12 o'clock in the East, probably like 6 o'clock. I'm guessing. I don't know. There. Anyway. Story for another show. Mallory Swanson yesterday scored 2 goals for Team USA. They look great. Team USA's women's team looks like one of the best teams in I think the Olympics and maybe in years too. I think they got a great shot at the gold. Swanson's one of the reasons why. She, of course, is the wife of Dansby Swanson, the infielder for the Chicago Cubs. Mallory posted 2 goals yesterday in their win against Zambia when they won 3-0. And is quickly becoming one of the most popular players in all of soccer. So needless to say, she's already doing well in terms of financially playing professional soccer, but now playing for Team USA, really taking it to the next level. If you're looking for something to watch over the next week or so, I would highly encourage women's soccer because I do think that they're worth your time and certainly worth the investment if you're going to wake up early in the morning for that. Our very funny co-host of the early line, Ben Stevens, put out a social media post yesterday about this. Pretty funny as well. Oregon, University of Oregon, generally speaking, has this like big blow-up duck that they have right outside their stadium. And, pretty funny to see that maybe this duck ends up going on the road with them. In fact, their coach said that they should get together and figure out a way to make this duck travel cross-country. Of course, Oregon, in a new conference this year, going to be playing a lot of road games 5-6 hours away. I guess the question is this like a inflatable balloon, like a hot air balloon that you can use to just like fly across the country? Is it something that goes on the team plane? I mean, this thing feels like it's like a mini stadium that they have right outside their stadium. I don't see how they can make this happen, but Puddles, yeah, we'll see if Puddles is making the trip on the road this year in the Big Ten for Big Ten Ben. Good comment yesterday, as you can see there on social media. You can follow him on X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days. All right, bad idea here for the Raiders. Bad idea. One of their players yesterday, and we're kind of restricted as far as what we could show you as far as the video is concerned, but we can show you images. One of the Raiders players yesterday with a Kermit the Frog puppet and put the hair on it and has a Patrick Mahomes jersey on it, kind of making fun a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog. What a horrible, horrible idea. Funny in nature, yes, but you are the Raiders, and you have not beaten the Chiefs all that often. In fact, the games have not been close all that often. And why are you doing this? Why are you giving more fuel to the fire? I love a good controversy, okay? I'm all about it. In fact, it feels like it's what we do for the first 10 minutes of the show every day. But giving the best quarterback in the world something extra for your games, I don't know. Who really thought? I mean, I'm guessing this was. I saw the video. I think a fan may have had it, gave it to one of the Raiders players, but still, like, come on, man. Got to know better than this. They talk about bulletin board material. Instead, it's Jim Henson's puppets material. Okay, bad idea. We'll see what happens when these two teams play each other. I didn't look on the schedule to see when they play. I'm going to guess September, October, probably the first time. All right, that will do it for our show. Let me set you up for the rest of the day here on SportsGrid. Coming up next, we have the early line for an hour, and then it's Kaplan and crew from 1 to 3. Scott Farrell is in today on Coast to Coast, 3 o'clock Eastern. That's Game Time Decisions at 6. In-game live prime time later, and then that's followed by Gabe with all of the action from the Olympics. He'll be really on the air when a lot of the Olympic action is going on, so that's your show to catch tonight. Thanks to Jim Gazzale from Legal Sports Report, also Simon Applebaum from the podcast tomorrow will be televised, and also Carlan Gay from Sporting News. In addition, thank you to Luke for filling in for Frank today, producing the show. Great job. It's very smooth, start to finish. You can catch me tomorrow morning on our next edition of Fantasy Sports Today. Me and George Kurtz, we're going to go through the Major League Baseball trade deadline, who will stay, who will go. We've also had a couple of trades, kind of like our last full baseball show sort of the season as we move toward fantasy football in August. So if you're into baseball, maybe a little bit of football, make sure you tune in tomorrow. That's 8 a.m. Eastern exclusively here on SportsGrid. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. I'll see you back here Monday for our next edition of NewsWire.